In 2013, the Human Rights Council mandated a one-year commission of inquiry chaired by Australian Justice the Honourable Michael Kirby, ACCMG, to investigate accounts of human rights violations in the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Australia was a strong supporter of the UN resolution which established the Commission of Inquiry. This year marks the 10th anniversary of the publication of the Commission of Inquiry report, which found evidence of systematic and widespread human rights violations that amounted to crimes against humanity. As one of the most isolated countries in the world, a lack of reliable and verifiable information coming out of the DPRK constrained the international community's ability to assess the human rights situation. This landmark report provided a comprehensive and evidence-based assessment of the systematic and gross human rights violations being committed by the regime. With no access to the DPRK, the Commission held open public hearings in Seoul, Tokyo, London, and Washington. They conducted more than 240 confidential interviews with victims and other witnesses and reviewed 80 written submissions. The Commission also relied on the invaluable work of non-government organisations in documenting human rights violations and analysing satellite photos of DPRK political prison camps. The Commission's report outlined a disturbing array of state-sanctioned human rights violations, the gravity, scale, and nature of which distinguishes the DPRK as a state that, in the Commission's words, has no parallel in the contemporary world. The violations included systematic denial of freedom of thought, expression, and religion, lack of access to food, arbitrary detention, torture, and executions, including through large-scale prison camps. Despite the Commission's credible and conclusive evidence of crimes against humanity, the regime has repeatedly denied the Commission's findings and recommendations. The DPRK continues to reject the mandate of the Special Rapporteur on the situation of human rights and refuses her access to the country. It also will not cooperate with the Office of the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights in Seoul. The Commission's report remains relevant today because of the sobering fact that we have seen no evidence of progress on the human rights situation in the intervening decade. Australia remains gravely concerned by the continuing abhorrent human rights violations and abuses. We're particularly concerned about ongoing reports that sexual and domestic violence against women and girls remains widespread and routine. Recent findings that several thousand women have been detained due to the application of guilt by association, and that these women are being detained in inhumane conditions, being deprived of food and subjected to torture, forced labour, and sexual and gender-based violence are harrowing. We note with grave concern the joint statement of UN experts on the forcible repatriation of hundreds of North Korean escapees, the vast majority of whom are women, despite appeals repeatedly made by numerous international human rights bodies to refrain from doing so. Australia continues to use multilateral forums, including the UN Human Rights Council and the UN General Assembly, to hold to account those who commit human rights violations and abuses in the DPRK. We look forward to the OHCHR's report in 2024 this year from consultations with victims and other stakeholders on what accountability means to them and how the international community can support a more effective response. In the words of the Commission, the international community must accept its responsibility to protect the people of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea from crimes against humanity, because the government of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea has manifestly failed to do so. Thank you.